The anime tells the story of Kakeru, who lives alone since the suicide of his sister 7 years ago. And in the orphanage, he met Yuka, who stayed with him all in his difficult moments and treated him nice when he couldn't get over the death of his sister. Them and his family adopted Yuka when she started going to primary school. They made her feel safe and welcome, but this didn't change anything in their relationship. One day in the afternoon, and after taking Yuka to her house, Kakeru asked her out for a walk, and they will pass by the mall on their way. The girl happily accepted and they walk in the street. Yuka expresses her happiness because her friend changed and finally agrees to go out with her. Kakeru sees her smile. That makes him so happy and spontaneously holds her hand, and something so strange as their hand touch, the couple start feeling irresistible pain in all their body. When the pain subsides, they open their eyes to find themselves alone. All the humans disappeared. The sky is red and the moon is darker than ever. They feel so confused and run all over the city looking for any human being, but they fail. The boy suggests going to high school where they get surrounded by monsters in a very terrifying moment, but suddenly, in an eye blink, they find themselves in the normal world. On their way to school, the girl seems to be worried if the Crimson Knight will come back again, but Kakeru promises to protect her whenever this happens again. In the class, the teacher introduced a new student coming from Italy, named Momono, and she seems to be rude since she refused to introduce herself to her classmates. The only interesting person she wants to talk to is Kakeru, but suddenly, Yuka faints. Everyone in the class panics. Kakeru carries her in a hurry to the medical room. On his way, a long-haired boy blocks the door, the thing which made Kakeru very angry, but luckily, Yuka stops him to avoid troubles. After examining Yuka's health by the school doctor, it turns out that she fainted because of anemia, so they had nothing dangerous to worry about. When he's about to leave, the doctor wonders what happened to Kakeru's eyes, so he tells her that he was born like this. He clearly does not want to talk about this topic, so he asks her for permission to go back to his class, and right after leaving the room, Yuka explained that his right eye is blind and he hides it because its color is different. After school, they decide to go back to the mall. The girl happily accepted, and on their way, they did not notice Momono, who was following them. After shopping and enjoying the moment, the couple decide to stay outside in a green area of some kind of a park. Suddenly, Yuka asks Kakeru to lie on her lap like another couple is doing next to them. When the boy does what she said, Momono appears surrounded with black shadow and drains them back to the red world and makes them feel the same awful pain. The monsters also didn't miss the chance and they were waiting right there for them. Precisely, they were waiting for Kakeru. Fortunately, Mizuku Sakabi appears and saves them using a magical sword that is imbued with electrical energy, and she destroys them all. They run after that to their high school. They ask her about the Red Word, but she explained that she knows nothing except the fact that it's created by someone's will. So the scenery is the same. It exists in a different space-time than the real world. And also, they are chosen to be there since there is no other human being. Next, Misuzu feels the center of the world. A crystal tower is full of powerful energy, so she decides to go to check it out. The couple also goes with her, and while they run, Kakeru feels the pain in his hidden eye, and by raising his head, they see a strange creature standing in front of them, refusing to let them proceed any further. Misuzu gets in a sword fight with her and tricked her to flee with the two others. Sooner after that, they arrive to the center of that world. They discover the girl named Lisette sealed in a crystal, and after asking her if she created that word, she keeps denying, and Misuzu thinks that something inside of her, unconsciously activated, created the word and chose the ones to bring there. The group hesitated saving her until a strange group of monsters appears. Misuzu tries her powers, but it seems to be useless within the place they are in. Those who came ask them to leave or they will be killed. Back to the real world, where Takahisa enters to the room of the school doctor, and at the same time, Misuzu, Kakeru, and Yuka find themselves back to school. In the cafeteria, the three students try to link everything in order to understand the secret of the Red Word. Misuzu confirms the presence of chosen student at least 3 others because she already saw the face of one of them. She caught a glimpse of 2 others as they were leaving, and they are all students in the same high school. 2 of them are girls, and they were fighting demons, since all weak beings in Onmyodo are called demons. The Onmyodo is a practice of spiritual balance based on Wonqing, Yin and Yang, and Onmyoji is a practitioner of this. And there is another spirit summoned by Onmyoji called Shiki. The one using it are often invisible to normal people. And the surprising thing is that those 3 other students are not Shiki, which leads to 2 options: demons or spirits of darkness. And it's clearer to call them Ariman. After this, they wonder if they have any superpowers, and before going home, they decide to go to a coffee shop where they find a waitress who seems so familiar. After asking her, she answers that she goes to the same high school. Suddenly, Kakeru notices a scar in her hand, but quickly hides it and says that she hurt herself in the kitchen. And while she prepares coffee for them, the scar in her hand disappeared. And the next day, in the library, the boy starts seeing illusions of his sister everywhere, and he finds a note saying that he awakens the devil. Sooner after that, the three chosen students go out and see the black moon. In shock, they decide to gather in their high school whenever they find themselves in the other world, since they can't stay always together. And Misuzu tells them about the girl she saw in the red world. One of the three other chosen students, she tried to convince her to come and see Yuka and Kakeru, but she refused because of some personal issues. The behavior of Kakeru changed a lot, it is so obvious by his classmate. In the lunch break, the boy meets Misuzu and tells her he wants to awaken the powers that are supposed to be dormant inside of her, and he wants her to teach him how to fight in order to know if his hidden talent serves him if any dangerous thing happens. Deep down, the boy believes he's the reason why Yuka got involved in all this and thinks she doesn't have any superpowers, so he feels the necessity of protecting her. That is why he insists on Misuzu to teach him how to fight, but she hesitates since she knows that being an expert won't happen overnight. Kakeru decides to read books and train alone, attempting to awaken his powers, but nothing happens. Misuzu sees that, so she decides to take the boy and Yuka in order to explain how she did gain her powers, starting her story about how Kusakabe household has always protected the country and people, fulfilling its role as an onmyoji clan. That is why she never thought about becoming an onmyoji. Then she shows them her hand and her nails are all sealed, which signifies that she holds all the 5 treasured swords of the Kusakabe lineage. She said also that the demon swords are so dangerous, that is why she prefers keeping them sealed and summon them only when needed. Then she starts talking about her last battle, but right at the beginning, she stops talking and prefers reporting it to another day. Next, she gives Kakeru a sort of physical exercise to train on using the sword, and why not awaken his powers. But outside, Yuka tells her to finish the story. She shocked her that in her first battle, she cut down her father in the fight for the last treasure sword. She cut down the head of the Kusakabe household, her father, and her family will never forgive her for this. Her father also didn't like the way she looked up to Miza Kusakabe, the greatest onmyoji female, but she became a Giho user that is considered as breaking the rules, so she was banished. Suddenly, Kakeru complaining about the exercise, and right after it, they feel the pain again, and they get transported to the Red World where the monsters attack them as usual. And this time, they reveal that they threw away their human form, which means they were once humans. Misuzu decides to face the biggest one of them, Gula, while the 2 others run away. She suffers to kill him, just as much as the others suffers to find a place to hide. But the girl she once met in that world helps her to kill the monsters, the thing which led to the disappearance of one of the crystals. Back to the 2 others who injured inside a car due to a savage attack of the monster who followed them. Someone opens the door and again it is his dead sister. Back to the real world where the 3 chosen students discover 2 more chosen ones, Takahisa and Yukiko. Kakeru and Misuzu keep training, aiming for better results, and it is obvious that he does all this effort to protect his friend Yuka from any danger. And the next day, and right as they get inside the classroom, they feel the pain again, but this time they find Takahisa fighting with the monsters. This boy is a physic fire energy user, pyrokinesis, then a black knight arrives to kill them all together. Misuzu summoned one of her sword and attacked the enemy, but this time Yukiko also joins her, with 2 knives to seem exactly like a different person. But unfortunately, she gets injured after getting beaten by another dark knight. Takahisa after that throws his fireballs to the enemy and they find themselves obliged to leave and send back the kids to the real world. Everyone feels sad about what happened to Yukiko, but suddenly she shocks them by recovering from all her wounds. It turns out that she's able to regenerate. She explained that whenever she takes off her glasses, another personality that is so different from her true one shows up. In the next day, while training, Kakeru receives a word saying that his friend Yuka fainted again. The boy rushes to the medical room where he finds her lying on bed. The doctor liked the way how they looked like a loving couple, unlike Takahisa who couldn't stand them and leaves the room immediately. Saiko finds the chance to tell her story with Takahisa and how she did met him. In the past, she was a mischievous motorcycle enthusiast, and once the police was chasing her, she had to hide in a dark alley, and there was she found him. A hungry street kid tried to survive all alone, so she decided to save him and raise him because all a lonely kid needs in that age is love and care. Then Yuka tells his story is so similar to hers and Kakeru's, since they spent their childhood in an orphanage. Later this day, they meet Misuzu, who tells them that finally they are going to meet one of the chosen girls, and after this, they will practice swordsmanship. Indeed, the team gathered in the office where they wait for the new girl, but as she arrives and opens the door of the room, she leaves everyone in shock. The girl looks exactly like Nisa, Kakeru's sister, and she has the same name as well. Later, it turns out she can't speak, but her ears are fine. Anyways, the group gives her a warm welcome, and Yukiko comes out with the idea of setting a password which she has already chosen for friends and tomorrow. In the afternoon, all the guys are packing their stuff to go home, but Kakeru insists on the sword practice. Misuzu accepts teaching him, but this time, even before they start the fight, she makes him understand how blind the need to protect Yuka. But he must know for those that are ruled by feelings, there is no chance of winning. Alright then, they got into the red ward. Monsters start their attack on everyone. Takahisa saves Tokiko, who was in the women's restroom, and Misuzu fights a group of them in the office. While the two others, Kakeru and Yuka, find themselves alone with one of the black soldiers. But this time, the boy remembers what Misuzu said. He controls his emotion and tries to work his brain, and successfully, this awakens his powers. His blind eye predicted the future. The next steps of his opponent are now clear, so he defeated him easily. The thing which led to the disappearance of another crystal tower. But then the boy falls down shuddering in fear and sees some kind of vision where a man named Verad, the king of Fallen Country, the one chosen by Aeon's Eye, tells him that his eye will grant him anything but strip away everything as well, and lives like this. Back to the real world, where only Misuzu seems to know how to heal Kakeru using the 9 hand seals, which are a specialized form of a Buddhist meditation. And while she does this, the boy suffers from pain, and at the same time he sees Verad in his dreams, tell him the reason behind that pain is the power he seeks. It is the power of Aeon's Eye. If Kakeru discards his life, he'll be at ease, which means Verad will return to the rest. But if the boy will continue wishing these powers, then Verad lives on. The boy insists to live in order to protect his friend, but the man makes fun of what he says, confirming how powerless he is and promising him to experience the despair and the pain of the path he just chose. In the morning, the boy wakes up and finds Misuzu sleeping right beside him. At this moment, Yuka sees them and thinks about something inappropriate that might happen between them in the last night, so she stays confused all the time. But on the table of breakfast, the girl seems to confirm her doubts, so she runs without saying a word, and Kakeru follows her to know what is happening. And in the roof of their school, he explains the misunderstanding. Back to school, while the girls think about the possibility of leaving the city, Takahisa reveals the impossibility of this way. Because he tried it once and he didn't succeed, since there is a red wall surrounding the city and all the chosen ones cannot leave. Many things are about to happen since only 4 crystal powers left in the red ward, and the new power of Kakeru might hide a lot of surprises. Stay tuned guys for the next video, and take care.